It started as a picture-perfect life, one built on faith, trust, and family values. She was married to the town's beloved preacher, a man who stood tall at the pulpit, delivering powerful sermons on morality and loyalty. Her father, the bishop, was equally admired, a pillar of wisdom and guidance. But beneath the surface of their holy image, secrets simmered. One evening, she came home earlier than expected, only to stumble upon a scene that shattered her world. Her husband, the preacher, caught in a compromising position with her own father, the bishop. Shock turned to heartbreak, heartbreak to anger, and anger to something far darker. What followed was a chain of events so devastating it led to an unthinkable act. What could drive someone to the brink? Stay with us as we uncover the chilling truth behind betrayal, family, and the consequences of broken trust. She stood frozen, her heart pounding as the weight of the betrayal sank in. Memories of their life together rushed through her mind. The late-night prayers, the family dinners, the moments that now felt like a cruel facade. How long had this been going on? Was her entire marriage a lie? Questions swirled, each one more painful than the last. Her husband tried to explain, stumbling over his words, but the damage was already done. Her father, the man she had trusted and admired her whole life, couldn't even look her in the eye. As the shock gave way to rage, she realized this wasn't just about infidelity. This was about betrayal on a level she never imagined possible, by the two men she had loved and trusted most. The betrayal cut deep, but so did the secrets they were hiding. What else were they telling her? She needed answers, but she had no idea the truths she would uncover next would only make things worse. In the days that followed, she struggled to make sense of it all. Every glance at her wedding photos or the Bible verses framed on the walls felt like a cruel reminder of the lies she had been living. Her husband begged for forgiveness, claiming it was a mistake, but his words felt hollow. Her father's silence only deepened the pain, leaving her to wonder how long he had been complicit in this web of deceit. As she began to dig for answers, whispers in the community reached her ears. There had been rumors, hints of secret meetings and unexplained absences. But she had brushed them off, blinded by her faith in the two men she thought she knew. With each discovery, the cracks in her perfect world widened. What hurt most wasn't just the betrayal. It was the realization that everyone else seemed to know something she didn't. Torn between confronting them again or keeping her composure, she found herself spiraling. But beneath her heartbreak, a flicker of something darker began to grow. She wasn't just searching for the truth anymore, she wanted justice. The tension in the house became unbearable. Every room felt suffocating, every silence deafening. She couldn't look at her husband without seeing the betrayal etched in his face, and every time she thought of her father, a wave of anger and heartbreak would wash over her. But what haunted her the most was the feeling that there was still more to the story, something they weren't telling her. Determined to uncover the truth, she started piecing together the fragments of their lives. Late-night phone calls, strange glances exchanged during family gatherings, unexplained trips. It all began to form a disturbing picture. The more she uncovered, the angrier she became. It wasn't just about the betrayal anymore. It was about the lies, the manipulation, and the years she had been kept in the dark. One night, unable to sleep, she found herself standing outside her husband's study. She knew he kept a journal, a place where he claimed to document his thoughts and prayers. With trembling hands, she opened the drawer and found it. As she flipped through the pages, her heart raced. What she read confirmed her worst fears. This wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. It was deliberate, calculated, and far more sinister than she ever imagined. But just as she began to piece everything together, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning quickly, she found herself face to face with her husband, his expression unreadable. The air between them was heavy, charged with unspoken words. It was in that moment she realized she was no longer just searching for answers. She was in the middle of something far more dangerous than she had anticipated. Her husband's eyes narrowed as he noticed the journal in her hands. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The weight of the silence was crushing. Then, in a calm but chilling tone, he said, "You shouldn't have done that." His words sent a shiver down her spine, and she realized she had crossed a line she couldn't step back from. She clutched the journal tighter, her voice trembling as she demanded the truth. But instead of answering, he took a step closer, his demeanor shifting. It was as if the man she thought she knew had vanished, replaced by someone darker, someone calculating. "You think you know everything now?" he asked, his tone sharp. "You don't even know the half of it." Before she could respond, there was a knock at the door. Her father's voice called out from the other side, calm but with an edge that matched her husband's. The two of them exchanged a look, and for the first time, she realized they were still protecting something bigger than their betrayal. Her heart raced as she backed away, clutching the journal like it was her only weapon. "What are you hiding?" she demanded, her voice cracking. Her father opened the door, stepping into the room with an unsettling composure. "It's not what you think," he said, his tone steady, almost rehearsed. But the look in his eyes told a different story. Whatever they were keeping from her wasn't just a personal secret. It was something dangerous, something that could destroy everything if it came to light. And now she wasn't sure if she was fighting for the truth or for her own safety. Her father's words hung in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. She stood her ground, clutching the journal, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "If it's not what I think, then tell me the truth," she demanded. Her husband exchanged a glance with her father, the kind of look that spoke volumes. Whatever they were hiding, it was bigger than she could have imagined. Finally, her father sighed, his facade cracking just enough to let the tension slip through. "You need to understand. This wasn't just about us," he began, his voice low. "There are people, powerful people, who wouldn't want this to come out. We did what we had to do to protect the church, the community, and you." She felt the room spin as the weight of his words hit her. This wasn't just a family betrayal. It was part of something much larger, a carefully orchestrated web of secrets and control. But before she could process it, her husband stepped forward. "You weren't supposed to find out," he said, his tone cold. "But now that you have, we don't have a choice." The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place when she opened the back of the journal, finding names, transactions, and cryptic notes. Evidence of a cover-up that tied them to a larger scandal. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was tied to corruption that could ruin lives and dismantle everything they had built. She realized now that their pleas for her silence weren't for her protection, but for their own survival. But then, just as the tension reached its peak, a twist she hadn't expected unfolded. From the shadows of the hallway, a voice spoke, a familiar one. It was her younger brother, who had been estranged from the family for years. "You think she's the only one who knows," he said, stepping into the light with a file in his hand. "I've been watching you both for a long time. And now it's all coming out." The room erupted into chaos as her brother revealed evidence that not only confirmed their guilt, but implicated others in their circle. It was the final unraveling, a moment where the truth could no longer be contained. As the weight of it all came crashing down, she realized that while the betrayal had shattered her world, it had also set her free. The room fell silent as the weight of her brother's revelations sank in. Her husband and father, once so confident in their lies, now stood exposed. The facade they had worked so hard to maintain crumbled under the evidence, leaving them defenseless. She felt a strange mix of emotions: relief, anger, and an odd sense of closure. The betrayal had been unbearable, but the truth had finally come to light. In the days that followed, the secrets they had hidden for years unraveled completely. The authorities got involved, and the scandal shook their community to its core. While the damage couldn't be undone, she found strength in knowing she had faced the truth, no matter how painful. Her brother's unexpected return gave her a sense of support she hadn't felt in years, and together they began to rebuild their lives. Though scarred, she walked away knowing one thing: the truth, no matter how devastating, was better than living in a lie.